Hey guys, welcome to RC Video Reviews. Today we're taking a look at the ToolkitRC M6Dac. This is a sponsored video. This charger was sent to me by ToolkitRC, so I'd like to say thanks to them for sharing this product with us for review and for letting me get a first look so we can share it together and show you what's going on with this thing. Cool little charger. We're going to go into it in some detail, but thanks a lot to ToolkitRC, and be on the lookout in the description for links back to Banggood if you'd like to buy one for yourself. It is in pre-order stage right now. They're about $149, but I can tell you right now, this is a strong little charger. So let me start out by talking a little bit about what we're going to do today. I'd like to give you a little bit of a tour of the charger first, and then I'm not going to do the same type of walkthrough because I've done ToolkitRC charger walkthroughs. I've done calibrations. I've done the tour of the entire menu system, every single option. I'm not going to do that this time. But what I am going to do, I'm going to do something you're not going to find on the other channels, and that's I'm going to kick this thing hard. It says 700 watts. I'm going to see if I can get 700 watts out of it. That's a lot of power, and it's actually very tough to create scenarios to draw that much power. Not impossible, but it is tough. So I'm going to start out by quickly doing a walk around first. So give me just a second. I'm going to unplug the battery and we'll start by looking at what's going on around the back. Okay, as I mentioned, and I'm gonna go ahead and hide the chat because while we're doing this, I want you guys to be able to see this. And I'll go ahead and say hello while I'm waiting. I'll say hello to Robert at North 49 RC. John says, is this a lineup for the Toolkit M6D giveaway? I'm ready. Tell you what, man, this will be a good one. This will be a good one to have. Martin, buddy, how's it going? Good to see you. Glad you could make it. Rotobor, how's it going? Four Eyes, Blemish, hi, what's up? How you doing? Yelly, how are you? And let's see. I'm a total noob on LiPos. Does it have protection and order? Don't fire my house. Yeah. It does. We'll cover that a little bit. Dooley Curl, hello. Okay, so on the back, I wanted to show you there are three connections on the back. There's AC, and when you're on AC, the limit is I think it's 200 watts. 200 watts on AC, so a little bit lower, but still 200 watts for, you know, if you're just doing batteries like this, that's nothing. No problem at all. You know, you're talking about 1.7 times 25, so 25 times 1.7, 42 watts. That's nothing. No problem. And if you do it by 2, that's 84 watts. So you got AC, DC, and then notice that the little USB-C, that's not for power, that's for power out. So I'll show you that too, but there's a USB-C power out, and that does 65 watts on the USB channel, which is kind of cool. I haven't tried charging my laptop with it yet, but I bet it probably would. K. Anthony, how's it going from Great Britain? Pete Buttons, hello. Glad you guys can make it. Okay, so that's the back side. On the front side, this stuff doesn't come with it. I just want to be clear. I'm going to pull this off because I don't want any confusion about this. We'll talk about these in just a minute, but this is how it comes. You don't get these adapters. I added these adapters. I have links for all of this in the description too, by the way. If you need to get some of these things, if you don't have them, I've got the balance extension boards in the description. I've got the XT60 with the sheathing. By the way, I'm switching to these. I really kind of like these. These sheaths click on really easy. You don't have to heat shrink. They provide separation and they don't pull off. So when you're pulling your XT60s apart, you're not constantly fighting with heat shrink that wants to separate. So I'm switching to these. I put a link for these in the description, as well as the silicone wire, the soldering iron, and the soldering tip. So it's all in there. Take a look in the description. Those are all affiliate links. So everything you need to make this is in the description, okay, including the soldering iron. So with that said, the reason I added these is because of these batteries. If you kind of look at it if you look at it, and this isn't a fault of the charger, pretty much every charger is the same way. They're all the same way. So if you look at it like this, you can plug this battery in the front, but then you got to squeeze that silicone and then stuff that balance lead in there. And then half the time when you set the battery down, it's going to be sitting like that. It's just kind of a mangled mess. So again, I don't blame the M6D charger for this. It's all chargers, but since it's dual channel, then it really starts to get a little messy. So for that reason, I just added the balance board extensions on the front, and I made a little just a little tiny pigtail, and that makes it much more convenient. So now when you're ready to plug in, you can take your balance board, plug in your balance extension, and then you can plug in your little pigtail, and everything will just lay nice and kind of flat on your desktop. Much easier to manage that way. So there's that. Okay, let's take a little walk around the unit itself. I'm going to show you a little bit about the software. And we had a question earlier about whether or not this charger will protect your house from burning down. The answer is, if you use it correctly, yes. It's a balanced charger, so it will balance your LiPo chargers. It does up to 6S, so it's 2 to 6S. It's got the balanced ports that I was just showing you right here. And you plug that in, you run a balance charge, and the charger, I can tell you right now, my experience of the ToolkitRC stuff has been positive. I've used the M7, I've used the M8S, I've used the M6, the original M6 dual channel that I gave away during a giveaway. Now I've used this for a couple of days now, and overall my experience has been very, very positive with their equipment. I like the interface. They're really starting to get their interface worked out too. So Toolkit, on their initial watt meter, they had a lot of data in there. So a lot of data, but hard to read. The layout on this thing is really, really good. It's very easy to understand, very easy to navigate. Hey Bill, how's it going? Glad you could make it. Mini Me FPV, I just bought 2 M6Ds and they announced the new model. I had to calibrate them. Yeah, you do. It's a good idea to calibrate. I'm not going to do a calibration today, but I'm going to show you how to do it, okay? Those have to be the smallest battery leads I've ever seen. Yeah, they're short. Oded K, hello from Israel. Hello from Israel. That's awesome, man. I love the international flavor. We got Canadians, Swiss, British, Israeli. It's awesome, man. I love it. I love it. Okay, so let me plug this in on the back. Now I'm going to show you real quick how you get into calibration mode. And it's the same for all Toolkit stuff. So all you do is you press the jog dial right here. You press that, and then you add your power. So whatever your power source, I'm going to make sure I plug it in the right way. Oh, hey, by the way, I can tell you it does have reverse polarity protection. I'm not going to tell you why I was an idiot, but I'm going to tell you that I was one, and I found out it does have reverse polarity protection. So there you go. I've proven that. So anyway, hold the jog wheel, plug your battery in the back, and there is a little bit of a crack when you plug in a 6 cell. And when you do that, you're brought up to the menu. So in this menu, what you want to do is you navigate around to the thing that you want to calibrate. So let's say you want to calibrate your input voltage right there. You highlight that field, and then you press the jog dial and you change this variable. That's the calibration parameter, and you spool it up or down based on what your multimeter reads on your battery. So all you do is you put a multimeter on there. You can use any calibration device you have. Doesn't have to be a multimeter. So like if you trust your cell voltage meter, you can see that this thing says 2501. This has been calibrated. So it says 2501. I'm seeing 2500. I said I wasn't going to calibrate it, and look at me. So we'll go the other way. So 2501, man, that's really close. So I'm going to leave it right there. So there you go. That's how I'd calibrate that. So now you can see I've got 2501 there. I've got 2501 there. When you're done with that, you just hit this exit key, and then you come down to the bottom and you hit save. By the way, you can also do the same exact thing if you have a battery plugged into the balance port. So if I were to take a 6S, well, let's do a 4S. I've got one of those handy. So if I take a 4S battery and plug it in right here, you can see now that I've got a 4S battery plugged in, and you can see the voltages. So all you have to do is know what your values are on this. And I've shown how to do this before, so I'm not going to cover it today, but go in these fields, make adjustments to this calibration value. And then when you're all done, you just hit save. And that's it. It's calibrated. It's not hard to do, and I highly recommend it. It's definitely something you need to do with your equipment. What I found is that most of the time the ToolkitRC stuff is very, very close. I haven't seen anything that was egregious, but it's a good idea to check anyway. Okay, so regarding the menu system, this thing is really kind of cool. It's fairly easy to navigate. So you notice when you scroll, what's changing is this area down here. So when I have a battery plugged in, and let's go ahead and get a battery plugged in so you guys can see. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit because I want you to be able to see both the battery and the menu system. All right, there we go. I got plastic parts falling off on my desk here. Okay, so there's that, and there's our balance lead. Okay, so there you go. So when you scroll, you can see the individual cell voltage on the meter. And then this says standby, but when we start charging, this will actually show resistance on a per cell basis. But right now, let's go ahead and start a charge. We'll do that by, I would think you do it by pressing the button. But when you do that, it did start. It did start. It looks like a one button. No, it's doing a reading. That's what it's doing. It's not actually charging. It's just it read the battery in. So now I've got that resistance reading. But anyway, to start a charge, you press the jog dial once, and you've got battery selection options. So LiPo AT, you can come in here and set the different profiles you want. That's one way to do it. Or if you don't want to do that, you can long press the button and you can turn battery selection off. So you see this option right here, it says battery selection. I have that on right now, but if I turn that off, now it doesn't use profiles. It will simply bring up a screen where you can set your options. So the cool thing about this is you can either use profiles or not. I think that's actually a nice little touch. Good for them. It's up to you. You know, how do you want to use it? So on battery type, your options are LiPo, high voltage, LiFe, lithium ion, nickel metal hydride, lead acid, power. I'm not sure what that is. And then UAV battery, which is like DJI stuff. So oh, I don't want UAV battery. I want LiPo. So I'll set mine on LiPo. And then under cells, I've never found a reason to take it off of auto. If you want a hard code, you can, but I've never found a reason to do that. And under mode, you can either select charge, discharge, or storage. And then under the discharge mode, you see how it says inter? That means the internal discharger. And there's no option for external. There's a reason for that, and I'm going to try and remember what it is. I think you have to go into the input settings and select the power type. I have a P1 set up. Oh, it didn't save. So let me set this to P2, and I'm going to change that from adapter to battery. Now, I believe when you do that, it should let you change your discharge mode from internal to recycle. There you go. That's the one you want. That's the one that does regenerative discharge. So if you have a battery that you want to discharge and you're using a power source like this guy, you can send the electrons back, or the current back from here back into your source battery. Just be careful when you do that, because I'm not sure there's any power regulation for this to tell this guy when to stop sending stuff to this battery or current to this battery. So just be aware of that. You have to be aware of where you are on this one. All right. Okay. So that's discharge mode. End voltage you can set. Here are the options. You can go down to 375 and you can go up to 395. That's fine for storage. And for charge current, you have options. Now notice that when we're in asynchronous mode, okay, I'll talk about this in just a minute, but asynchronous modes means we're using two discrete channels for two discrete, what the heck is this thing? Get off there, go away. Okay, two discrete channels for two discrete things. So I can put a 4-cell on this one, and I can put a 5-cell on this one, and it'll work. In fact, I'll go ahead and do it. I'm gonna plug it in so you can see it. So this is the nature of dual channel. The cool thing about it is that you can set your different. So I've got a 5-cell here and a 4-cell here. Okay, so we'll cover that in just a minute. But you can go up to 15 amps in asynchronous mode. This is really important because in order to take advantage of 700 watts, I'll show you how to do it. But you notice that in asynchronous mode, you can't. So we'll hit the back button and leave it there. Discharge current. If you're in recycle mode, you can actually hit the discharge current pretty high. So yeah, 15 amps of discharge current. So that, again, you just got to make sure that if you do that, you have to understand this thing should be able to take a 15 amp charge. So I wouldn't set it for 15 amps because this should only be charged. You got to imagine this is being charged now. So I would only charge this at about 1.5, maybe 2 amps will be okay. So I wouldn't, don't go up to 15. And this goes back to the original question that I had was, will this prevent me from burning my house down? Well, if you use it incorrectly, it will cause problems. Like if you charge this at 15 amps, you very well could start a fire. So, you got to know what you're doing here. It's very important to understand what's happening. So you're taking current here, you're moving it to here. This guy only wants to see a charge rate of about 1 to 2 C. So no more than 3 amps going this direction for this battery. Now, if I were using a big 6L5000 like this guy, you could do 5 amps or maybe 10, depending on your tolerance, your battery's tolerance for C ratings on charge. But I just want to be clear that you guys understand the caveats with using recycle mode. You don't want to just turn everything all the way up and hit, yippee-ki-yay and go. You have to understand what's happening, okay? So we'll leave that. I'm going to set it down to a low value just so I don't make a mistake at some point in the future. We'll just use 2 amps. That's fine. By the way, hitting these batteries at 2 amps during a charge cycle while you're flying is no big deal. But the nice thing about this arrangement is that if you're using a battery as a power source at the field, you can conserve energy if you're done with this battery. You know, you can set it to storage and feed that energy back into your source battery. That's the cool thing about that. All right, it's not a bad idea to set your max input voltage either. There's no reason to set it on anything other than 28. I don't see why that would really matter. Yeah, I don't really see an advantage to changing that. Okay, so that's the menu system. Now let's take a look at the charge, and what I'll do is I'll start a charge. So it's kind of hard to see. All right, you guys have seen that I've got 2 different batteries plugged in, right? So I'm going to zoom in because I want you to see I want you to see the device now. Okay. So notice this little yellow ring. That's the ring that lets you know which channel you're working on. And you can change where that ring is by pressing the exit button. So when you press the channel or exit button, it switches over to this side. So now it's a blue ring on this side and then a yellow ring on this side. Okay, so that tells you which channel you're working in. You can switch back and forth between the two. So on this side, I've got a 5-cell battery. Let's go ahead and just initiate a little bit of a charge. I'm not going to do much. You guys don't need to see it. Oh, and by the way, you can switch channels in here too, FYI. But I'm not going to do a whole lot. But let's see, charge current. This is a 5-cell 4000. So we're just going to set this at 4 amps. And we'll do 4 amps. And the cells are on auto detect. We've got LiPo as our profile. We're discharge mode. We don't care about that. End voltage. Okay, that's so the mode must be on storage. Yeah, it is. We need it to be on charge. We'll put it on charge. Now our end voltage is 4.2. And you guys know recently I've been lowering mine to 4.18 because that does a lot to extend the life of your batteries. So just by lowering it just a little bit, yeah, you might lose a few minutes, a minute or two of flight time. But if you lower it just a little bit, you really help preserve the life of your batteries. It helps extend them by like 75%. It's something crazy like that. Okay, so we've got LiPo, we've got cells on auto, we've got mode charge, we've got 4.18, and we've got 4.0. So now all we'll do is hit start, and we get a confirmation. Hey, do you want to charge this? We'll say yes, and there we go. That starts charging that one. Now you can hit the channel button and go over to this side, and we'll do the same thing. We'll just press the jog dial, and I'm going to set my charge current. This is a 4-cell 1500, so we'll set the charge current to 1.5, maybe 1.7, 1.5. 1.5 is fine. And end voltage, I'll leave at 4.18. And there we go. We'll hit start. And there we go. So now we've got a 4-cell on this side and a 5-cell on this side. That's the beauty of a multi-channel charger, is that you can set different profiles. That's the cool thing about it. When you hold the exit button, it measures resistance in cells. Yeah, got that. Power is used instead as a power supply. It has accurate output voltage. Oh, is that what it was for? I'll have to check that. You know what? I thought I saw something up front. I didn't mess with that. And you're saying it'll work as a power supply. I'll have to check that out. I never really thought about, I know that M7 does and the M8S does. I never really thought about using this one as a power supply. So that's good to know. Okay, so there we go. We've got a charge going. Now, this is where the normal YouTube videos are going to stop, but that's not where I'm going to stop. I'm going to show you guys how to really kick this thing in the belly. Yeah, that's it, in the belly. That's what I meant to say. All right, so we're going to stop the charge. I think you do this by pressing the jog dial, and we'll hit stop all. That's cool. There's an option, hit stop all. So now everything's done. We're going to stop charging, and I'm going to get rid of all this stuff, right? I'm going to get rid of all this stuff. That's all gone. And what I'm going to do is bring in, and I'm going to show you the math behind this too. So let me zoom out a little bit. I want to show you the math behind what I'm going to do so you guys can understand here. So here's the game plan. There's my calculator. I've got 3 6-cell 5000s. They're in parallel. All right, so 3 6-cell 5000s right there in parallel. So if you were to charge these at 1C, a 5,000 milliamp hour pack goes at 5 amps. So 5, 10, 15. If we charge at 2C, that means 30 amps. Okay, so 5, 10, 15 times 2 is 30 amps. All right, so let's do the math on this so you guys can see how this works out. I need to get access to my keyboard here. And what I'm going to do is do 25.2. So to back it all the way out, 4.2 volts per cell is What? Come on, work with me a little bit here. No, don't want to work. My calculator doesn't want to work. Looks like nothing on my keyboard is working. Okay, now are we working? 4.2, yeah, stubborn Windows. Okay, 4.2. So 4.2 is the peak voltage on a LiPo. So 4.2 times 6 cells, that gives us 25.2 volts at peak, okay? 25.2 volts at peak. Now, if we multiply that times 5 for one battery, that means 126 watts. Now we multiply it times 3 batteries, that's 378 watts. But 378 doesn't really test this. It says 700 watts. So the way we get to 700 watts, we back that out a little bit. 25.2 times 10 amps is 255 watts times 3 batteries. Now we're talking. There's 765 watts. So what Martin says, I mean nuggets. Yeah, that's what I meant, Martin. You're on it. So 765 watts. Now that's actually too high. So the other way we have to do this is we have to take 700 watts, which is the peak, divide it by 25.2, and that tells us we can use a max of 27 amps. So that's what we're going to do. 27 amps is below 2C. 2C would be 30. This is slightly below 2C. So I'm going to set it at 27 amps. Okay. So 27 amps. And guys, I'm going to tell you right now, man, that's a lot. I don't know how much you guys know about electricity, but what I'm talking about here is a lot. 27 amps at 25 volts is kind of scary. It's kind of scary. I'm not going to lie. That's a lot. You got to know what you're doing. You know, you got to really pay attention here because you can get yourself into a lot of trouble if you don't watch what's going on. Okay, let me show you how to set it up for synchronous mode. Now, in order to do synchronous mode, they don't want you running, the peak is 15 amps out of these two lines. So in order to get into synchronous mode, what you have to do is bind the two channels together. So what I did is I made a reverse parallel connector, and I'm going to take my same little pigtails that I made. So these work for both, dual channel or if you want to put it in synchronous mode. So I'll connect those up and make sure your polarity's right. Make sure you don't jam things in backwards there. That's bad. All right, so now I've got a parallel, so my batteries are in parallel on the board and they're coming out over a single channel, okay, single wire, and they're going into a splitter that lets me connect both these lines in parallel. But before I do that, I want to connect my balance lead first. So I'm going to connect that right there. So there's my balance lead, and you can see we've got a 6-cell connection at 3.8 volts per cell. The other thing you want to do before you do this kind of configuration, you need to make sure these batteries are close. They're close. Yeah, Robert says another new Windows install. I'll tell you, man, what the hell? I'm trying to use a calculator, just like the keys don't work. Come on. Windows, I'll tell you what, man, I'm kind of getting ready to go back to Mac. I'm thinking about it. Okay, so there's one connection. Oops. I just had to free up my wire. And now I'm going to make the other connection. So that one goes, and I made these really short. I probably should have made them just a touch bigger. That would have been good, but that's okay. Okay, there we go. So there's my synchronous connection. So any parallel arrangement will work. I just did it this way because I have these little pigtails and I wanted to use those. So that's why I made the little reverse parallel connector. Okay. So now you guys, hopefully you understand the environment here. I've got 3 6L5000s connected on a parallel board. Okay. That parallel board is connected to a reverse parallel splitter that runs the current over these two ports, and one balance lead here on the right hand side. That's synchronous mode. Okay. Now we have to tell the charger, hey, we're in synchronous mode. So we have to go in and put it, and I'll move the calculator so you guys can see what's happening. So now we have to go into the charger and say, hey, we're in synchronous mode. So we're going to do that by long pressing. And I bet you this is the stuff you don't see on other channels. So hopefully you guys hit the like button. That'd be great. And subscribe and hit the notification bell, because this is the kind of stuff we do here. We try and get way under the covers. So no, it only has, when you're in synchronous mode, you only use one balance plug. It has 2 balance plugs. There's one here and one here, but we're in synchronous mode. So what we're doing is we're telling the battery logically inside that these two are one connection. Okay. So one connection, but one balance lead. That's all we need to do to balance. Okay, so here's the option for synchronous mode. Notice that's off right now. So I'm going to change that to on by turning the wheel to on. And now we'll hit return, and you can see that now this channel's grayed out, right? No longer, I can't work in there. In fact, if I press the channel button, it doesn't do anything. Maybe if I long press, it'll read the current or the resistance, right? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so there's our channel now. We've got our 6 cell connected. I'm going to press the jog dial, and this brings up the profile. Now, the thing about the current is you can't have access to this current level beyond 15 amps unless you're in synchronous mode. If you're not in synchronous mode, you don't see this. This is not an option. The option stops at 15 amps. So by putting it in synchronous mode, you're telling the charger, hey, send current out both these lines and send it to whatever you're charging, okay? So I'm going to put it, remember what our number was, it was 27.7 amps. I peak out at 25. So that's a maximum amperage limit for the device. So I can't, what that tells me is I'm not going to hit a full 700 watts. What we will see, what I expect, and we won't see it unless I can't, honestly, I can't even get there because this battery doesn't have enough capacity to fill these up, okay? But what we will do is run it and we'll see it run up to 27 amps, but I can't show you the peak wattage because here's what happens. Right now, these guys are at 3.8 volts per cell. So let's do them. I'm going to bring the calculator up so you can see it. So we're at 3.8 volts per cell times 6. Oh, come on, really? We're going to do this again. 3.8 times 6. Okay, so we're at 22.8 volts. And I think that's what we saw. We're seeing 22.8 right there. How about that? It's a miracle. Okay, 22.8 volts, and we're going to do 25 amps, right? So times 25. So that means we expect to see 570 watts. The only way we can see 700 watts is if we charged it all the way up to 4.2 at 27. So 25.2 volts, that's at 4.2 for 6L. Times 27, that gets us real close to 700 watts. I can't do that because I don't have the capacity to do it. I'm doing everything I can just to get it close. So I can't show you the full 700 watts, but we're going to punch it anyway. This is going to be a punch in the nuggets, believe me. And this battery easily deliver 25 amps, no problem. I just can't do it for that long because we're taking a little itty bitty gas tank and we're filling up a great big gas tank, right? We're taking, let me move the calculator. So hopefully you guys understand where I'm going with this, right? There's only so much I can do, right? There's only so much I can do. So we're taking this little tiny gas tank and we're filling up this great big gas tank. But the reason we're doing it this way instead of the other is because I want to see the amperage. I want to shove amperage into this thing. I want that current to go way high. So 27 amps, 25 amps. So hopefully that helps you. Okay, so there we go. There's the setup. Let's go ahead and do it. I got to tell you guys, man, I get nervous with this much current, man. It's a lot of current and a lot of voltage. I know, it's not like 220 volt on a house, but we're talking about little devices. We're not talking about a big circuit breaker panel with big circuit breakers and big heavy wire. We're talking about little little desktop electronics at 25 amps. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Makes me a little nervous. Okay. So here we go. I got it set at 25 amps. I expect it to peak at that pretty fast. So I expect it to run up there. And since we're at what did we say, 3.8? So 3.8, oh, here we go again. 3.8 times 6, that's 22.8 times 25. So I expect to see 570 watts pretty fast. All right, here we go. Well, I mean, that's as hard as I can punch it. Martin says he wants sparks. Man, with this much current and voltage, man, this would not make me very happy. I'm telling you right now, this would not make me very happy. So there we go. So hey, while that's going on, let me show you something else. Take a look at the USB bar up top. I want you to just point this out at the top. So I've got my GoPro. I've got my GoPro connected with USB-C to USB-C, and I'm just going to plug that in the back real quick, and hopefully I don't jar anything loose. But let me just plug that in right there. And you can see right there on the USB readout, we've got 0.7, 0.8, 0.6. So we're hitting the GoPro while all this is going on. So there you go. Now I'm looking, I wonder, yeah, there it is. What did I say? I said 570. Look at right there, 567, 566 watts, guys. It's right there. So pretty cool. Hey, math, right? Ohm's law. Woohoo! Who knew? You can predict this stuff. But see, this is what I mean. If you know what's going on, you can really take advantage of this. And I gotta just tell you guys, I gotta give props to ToolkitRC because this is a beast, man. This thing can do anything I could ask it to do. This is the worst that I could ask it to do. I'm punishing my batteries on the receiving side right now. And this thing is, the fan's not even running. It's just like, the fan's not even on. So yeah, man, that's beast mode. That's a beast mode charger right there. I can tell you that. I like it. I'm going to hold on to this. This is going to go on the desk next to the P200. Hey, by the way, I've been running it with a P200 and it works great. You just have to understand the limitations of the P200, right? You only get 100 watts on AC, but for desktop charging these smaller batteries like this one, oh man, it's great. You can charge, discharge, recycle, whatever you want. So there you go. That is pretty much it. That's really what I wanted to show you. I can't run this for long because it's going to take this little battery down, and man, I can feel it getting warm. But it's only 20. Oh, there goes the fan. Fan just kicked on. I think you can see the temperature, the internal temperature right there, 45°C. So yeah, this little LiPo up here, this one's getting a little warm. It's not hot, but you know, it's definitely coming out at 25 amps or 24 amps. So that's very cool. 547 watts, 4.18, and 25 amps is the profile. Wahoo! You can also see the watt hours being fed back into the GoPro up top. So 29 watt hours and 0.2 amps. That's kind of a low amp rate. I'm not sure about that. And they do give you the USB protocol being used. So this is PD-F, whatever that's worth. All right, guys, that's it. I'm killing it because I don't want to wipe out my little 6L battery. So that's all you get. That's the show. No, the fan's not too noisy at all. It's yeah, pretty mild, to be honest. Yeah, no big deal. Let's take a look at what that little jaunt did to this 6L battery. And this 6L was charged fully, by the way. So let's see what happened there. Ooh, yeah, I got it right in time. I got it 3.3, man. That's exactly where I should have stopped. That's like as low as you want to go. So yeah, I'm glad I stopped it. But see what I mean? Just that short little charge, man, it wiped this thing out because these are such big gas tanks over here, right? Those are big fuel tanks on this side, and you're taking current out at 25 amps from this thing and feeding it into this. That's why it was such a short run, and I knew it would be. Okay, so there we go. That's it. That's the show. Now to restore things, if you want to put it back, you long press the button and you can take it out of synchronous mode and turn that off. And there you go. You got your dual channels back. I'm going to go ahead and unplug this and I'm going to let that battery rest. We're not going to charge that, but that's it. That is the M6Dac. I hope you guys liked the review. Again, you know, I know you're going to see a lot of these reviews in the next couple of days because they're out there now, right? They're sending these out to the reviewers. They're letting us get our hands on them and show you. And you'll get a lot of reviews that show you, you know, all the little trinkets and gadgets. And I've done all that kind of stuff. But what I want to do is show you things that you're not going to find somewhere else. And that hopefully you saw that. I mean, I don't know who else is going to go through that length to show you. But that's, yeah, I would need a lot more power to show you a full 700 watts. Actually, I need more on that side. I need more batteries over there on that side to be able to do that. But these are spendy batteries, and I only have 3 of them. So, all right. There's also a power supply in it. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, there is an AC. So this has AC. So yes, has AC in the back, and it's just the brick is inside. So yeah, it's just the standard cable. All right. It also comes with a USB cable. If you guys want to see what else is in the box, here's the box. The only thing I've taken out is the charger itself. So here you go. There's the cable, no brick. It's just a standard one of these 2-pin deals. And then it's got a USB-A to USB-C, and I'm sure that's for firmware upgrades. That's actually kind of handy to have. I kind of like that. Little tiny, I like these small cables. They're good on the desk. So the reviews, like, I don't know what it does, but buy it. Well, the reviews like I don't know what it does. Oh yeah, Robert. Yeah. Robert. Yeah, I'm trying to be more gracious than that, Robert, but thank you. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right? There are reviews out there like, wow, look at it's a shiny black charger you plug in and look, it works. You know, that's what I'm talking about. I'm trying to give you guys like, you know, I'm trying to help you understand the device and trying to prove out, you know, I just did that Biubel jump starter review, and that thing is so overstated. It's ridiculous. That's one thing that I'll tell you that I've noticed with ToolkitRC is that their claims tend to stand up. So I wish I could have shown you 700 watts. I just don't have the capacity to do it. You know, sorry. I really wish I could have, but I just don't have the juice. I don't have the juice to do it. So, and if that tells you anything, man, I've got a lot of stuff. You know, I can hit these things pretty hard. That's the best I can do. That's the best I can do. So I hope you guys liked the review. If you have any questions, now's the time to ask. Otherwise, I'm almost done. I'm gonna go ahead and remind you guys that I'm working on a power supply project for the field, and at the moment I've given up on doing it with batteries, so I'll be doing it with a power supply. So more to come on that for sure, so hang tight. But I'll be doing it with a power supply, and I'll explain why when I put that video together, but stand by, more to come on that. Robert says, would this be a good charger for a beginner? Yeah, well, I mean, you know, Robert, listen, man, I've been flying for about 7 years. I've got quads, planes, jets. I've got high amp stuff, low amp stuff, radios out the wazoo, batteries out the wazoo. This is a good charger for me. And I'm not trying to sound bragmental when I say that, but, you know, I can put some demand. You know, I hope what I'm like, I know how to create demand for my stuff, right? I know how to say, okay, I want those all charged in the next 30 minutes. so I know how to create demand on my equipment. And what I'm telling you about this charger is this is a good charger for anybody, whether you're an expert or a novice, it doesn't matter. And I'll tell you again, I mentioned earlier, ToolkitRC specs tend to stand up. So do the calibration. You know, look at my calibration video, do the calibration, and knock yourself out, man. This thing is it. Just be aware of the caveats. You know, I told you the caveats are, if you put it in regenerative discharge mode, understand what you're charging into. Okay, just understand that. You don't want to put a little, you know, you don't want to put something like this on the back of it, a 2 amp battery, and then connect these guys in parallel and send 15 amps back into this. That would be bad, right? You don't want to do that. And then same with your voltage. You know, if you're using this as a power supply, if you're using this battery as a power supply, you notice how I cut off the video. I said, okay, that's enough. Well, when I did that, I was at 3.3. That's the low watermark, man. You don't go below that. And I kind of knew when to stop, you know, just because I understand these things. So I stopped it, but that's it. If you would have kept doing that, if you would have kept charging these batteries, this thing would have gone to its death for you like a good soldier. It would have said, all right, I'll do it. And you would have killed the battery. It would have killed the battery. So you do have to understand those things. Now, if you use it in AC mode, some of those problems go away because you're not going to use regenerative charging and you don't risk using a battery as a power supply and killing it. So just be aware of that. Now, there are options in here, by the way. If you go into the setup and you go under input settings, you can go in here and say voltage range. You can put a number in and say, I don't want my voltage. If my voltage goes below 22 volts, I'm pretty sure that will cut off. So if you set that, oops, sorry, I didn't know you couldn't see it. If you set this voltage range to 22 volts, it will stop charging for you. So there are some safety measures in there, and you can also limit the current. So if you're only using something that you want to be able to see 4 amps of current, you can change that in here as well. Okay, and that will help you. And I would recommend setting those parameters. Like if you're not sure what's going on, I would say, well, what battery are you using? What's the low voltage mark and what's the high current mark, and set those. And then you can also set the max power. So you can say, I only want this thing to deliver no more than 200 watts. And if you do that, this charger, the software will help keep an eye on those things for you. Okay. So Then there's some security settings too. You've got internal temperature settings, minimum charge time, safe capacity, continuous work. You guys, if you haven't used that, I love that mode. So if you're just going to sit and charge up a stack of these 6L1550s, put it on continuous mode and you just plug them in. You plug it in. When it's done, it says, hey, I'm done. You unplug one, you plug in another, and it goes right back to work again. You don't even have to touch any buttons. So really cool. Work completed, trickle, you know, if you want to really get a fine balance, you can put it on trickle or end. And then, as I mentioned, in battery selection, you can turn that on and select battery profiles. I didn't, the buzzer, I always turn the buzzer off. So you can set different buzzers. I like mine off. Just be aware if you turn the buzzer off, it doesn't give you an audible alert when the charge is done. Just be aware of that. We got some language options in here for, let's see, English, German, French, Italian, Portuguese, Spanish, some Asian language that I don't know, another Asian language I don't know, and yet another one that I don't know, and yet another one that I don't know. I'm guessing that's Korean. I'm just guessing. So anyway, that's that. And then theme style, if you guys want to see it, there's dark and light mode. So I like dark mode. I think dark mode looks better. I prefer it. So I use dark mode. And then you can hit this button and it resets everything to default. All right. So there we go. That is pretty much it, man. That's the whole thing, top to bottom. All right, did Toolkit put that label on for you nice? Yeah, they did. Wasn't that nice of them? I thought that was very nice of them, actually. So ToolkitRC, again, I'll just remind you guys, this video is sponsored by ToolkitRC, and they've been a great partner. You know, they and Radiomaster and Banggood, they've all been very good partners of the channel. So I do want to say thanks to Toolkit for sending this out for review, and I'll keep using this. This now becomes my main desktop charger, right? Because why not? This thing is beast mode. I mean, that's a whopper of a charger, and it looks good on the desk, and it goes good with a P200. Everything about it, man. I like the whole thing. So I'll be using it, and as I use it, if I see anything that is worth telling you about, I'll let you know. I promise I'll let you know. All right, no sparks, but still an ace review. Thanks, John. You're welcome, Martin. Sorry, man. Sorry, dude. Yeah, no sparks on this one. Nothing worth blowing up on the table right now. So, would this be a good option if I were mainly using on wall power? Yeah, yeah, Brutus, it would. At 200 watts. I mean, 200 watts on the wall. That's pretty solid, man. That's pretty solid. So if you think about 200 watts, and let's bring the calculator back up. So that's a good question. I like those kinds of questions. This is the stuff that adds value. So if you're finding value in this, then it adds value. So let's do that. Let's say that, for example, 6L battery. So 4.2. Oh, here we go. 4.2 times 6 cells. That's 25.2. And we're going to charge it. Say we're just doing small batteries like this times 1.6 amps. That's 40 watts. So you could easily charge 2 small 6S batteries on this, no problem. Let's take a look at a bigger battery. What happens if I want to charge 2 of these at a time? So now we're talking about 25.2 times 5. That's 126 times 2. That's 252. That's higher than the wattage limit allowed on AC. So you would not be able to charge both of these simultaneously at 1C, but you could charge them. Let's reverse engineer it. So 200 watts is the minimum or maximum on AC, and we'll divide that by 25.2 volts at peak. That gives us 7.9 amps over 2 batteries. We'll divide that by 2. That means I can charge these batteries at 4 amps instead of 5, and I'll be within the limit for the AC power supply. No problem, right? No problem. So, I mean, it's a little low, but these are big batteries. So what I'm saying to you is that on the small side at 200 watts, these style batteries, you know, these types of batteries, you'll easily be able to charge these at a full 1C. When you start getting into these big honking things, you're a little bit lower. You're going to be down at 4 amps instead of 5. So, but you know, that's close. You're like 75% of the charge rate, right? Riot says dark mode. Yep, I agree, man. Dark mode looks the best. And Brutus says, or Patrick G says, thanks for the review. You're welcome. And Brutus says, yeah, it looks pretty good. Yeah, it's a nice looking charger. That's the other thing that I like. I'm kind of picky about stuff on my desk, and this thing looks nice. It's a good looking charger. It's black. The screen is slanted. I like that. I didn't mention that, but I do like that. I almost wish they'd slant it even a little bit more, but it's good that they did this because it makes it easy to see when you're sitting at your desk. You look over and you can see it. You can see the data. It would be nice if it were just a little more though, to be honest. I would like, or maybe adjustable. That'd be cool. But anyway, yeah, good device so far, right? So far, that's my first look. I have to live with it a while to understand over time how it's going to perform. But I can tell you that, you know, ToolkitRC stuff so far has been pretty solid. And by the way, I've really been, I use, if you didn't know, let me just unplug it and bring it over. This is the P200. This is always on my desk. I use this thing all the time. I'm constantly beating this thing up. This is a ToolkitRC product, and I'm constantly beating this thing up. Always beating it up. So, and it's been holding up fine. I've enjoyed having this. So you can power this thing with the P200 as well. Just understand you've got a 200 watt limit. You got to understand that 200 watts on AC, 100 on AC, 200 on DC. So really, it'd make more sense just to plug this into AC because you get 200 watts on AC, and this thing can only deliver 100 watts when it's on AC. Okay, so unless you use a DC input. All right. Let's see. I already decided to get one of these. Seems pretty new, not in stock in Australia. Got notified. Yeah, they are pre-order. I noticed that on Banggood as well. They're in a pre-order status, and these. I was talking to my contact over there, and it's been a struggle with the chip shortage. They're doing what they can to fill the supply chain, but it has been a struggle. So John, thanks for going the extra mile to prove what these units can really do and saves viewers from making bad purchase. Another great review. Thanks, Robert. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, that's always the goal, man. I want to show you guys what, you know, they say 700. You guys know my storyline, right? If you tell me 700, do 700. And I didn't do 700 because I can't do it. So I can't fault the unit for that. That's my fault. I just don't have enough power. So what I did see was I saw the full 550 or whatever, and it performed brilliantly. So very good. All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks for joining me. I appreciate all the great questions. That really helps add value to the video, so I do appreciate that. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. There's still 32 people watching right now and only 25 likes. You guys could hit thumbs up. That'd really help me out a lot. It doesn't cost anything. It's free to do. And then leave a comment in the video afterwards, too. That helps, too. So I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks for joining me for the review on the ToolkitRC M6Dac. And thanks again to ToolkitRC for sending this thing out for review. That's all I've got for today. Take it easy.